of paper, and you're just going to put it in the envelope. Because you're going to put it in there, you're just going to hold it for a little bit later. So we're going to put that in reserve. So that way you know you got it in that envelope. You're going to kind of set that to the side. So you're going to hold that in reserve. We'll make sure everybody's got the. Did you get any paper? Read Diane. All right, what we're going to do is, tonight we're going to kind of start, it's a mini-series that we're going to start into, entitled Simply Jesus. We're going to make it as simple as possible. All right, so tonight we're starting in Luke chapter 2. So if everybody wants to grab their videos, take this. Shouldn't it take a library? What's library in Spanish? Shouldn't it take just roll the R and you're all right. What's that? That's right. It's pretty good books, man. Got words in it. All right, so we're in Luke chapter 2. And we're going to be looking at the passage, verses 41 through 52. So, what I'll do is I will break this up into two parts, because I know usually if I give long passages, people kind of get anxious. So, if we can break it up to, let's say 41 through 47. Anybody want to read that? And then, as soon as that person's over, then we need 48 through 52. So, who wants the first section? It's 41 through 47. Alright, so you got 40. Alright, now who wants 48 through 52? You got that? Okay. Alright, here we go.
His parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover, and when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem according to the custom of the feast. When they had finished the days as they returned, the boy Jesus lingered behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother did not know it. But supposing him to have been in the company, they went a day's journey and sought him among their relatives and acquaintances. So when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem seeking him. Now so it was that after 3 days, they find him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the teachers, both listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were astonished at his understanding and answer.
Okay.
When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you. Why are you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men.
Okay. First of all, right away, does anything seem weird to you in this story?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what? What are some things that immediately start jumping out and hitting you as a red flag?
Well, as a parent, I was like, where in the world am I going?
All right, okay. So as a parent, you're like, all right, so we're going on a trip and we're traveling. All right, you're going to be like, all right, where's my kid at? Okay. What else? Anything else standing out? He was just hanging out. He was like, oh, yeah, I want to look in here. All right. Anything else? Seems striking or weird?
Well, probably they didn't have any kids back in the temple to ask questions like he was.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anybody else have any other perspective? What about the questions Jesus asked his mom?
Yeah.
Why were you searching for me?
Yeah. Why are you searching for me, Mom? I'm like, okay, you're a 12-year-old and your mom's looking for you. And you're going to ask your mom, why are you looking for me? You've been gone for 3 days. You're going to ask your mom, why are you freaking out? All right?
Grabbing the beat butt.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question. Yeah. How many of y'all would have beat that child till you were tired? Yeah, I mean, I remember the one time where we lost Madison to Walmart. Oh my goodness, that was because she has this fun little idea that whenever we get into any type of shopping area, that she wants to hide in the little clothes racks, you know, the round clothes racks. She'll go right in the middle of it. She'll hide in that thing. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. And you sitting there yelling. I mean, this one time we lost her, I was jetted clear down to the toy section. I was looking over there thinking she was there. Andrew was all over the place yelling.
I was hollering.
I heard her in the toy section. So I know she was yelling for her. And eventually, I guess Madison, does she come out? Or
Somebody came and helped me look for her, and then she came out very scared.
Yes. She was a little terrified. And then, so it's amazing because as soon as you find that youngin', so all of a sudden that terror is released, but instantaneous fury just all of a sudden consumes you. And so, do you think it would have been any different for Mary?
No, but my first reaction is hug them, tell them, oh, I'm so glad you're all right. Why did you do that to me? Yeah, and that would be my first reaction. Not mad first, but then afterwards.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. What we got to understand is that she was still a mom, okay? Because, I mean, she took on the role and the responsibility to be a mother to Jesus. I mean, look, here's the thing we got to understand. Jesus, he was God in flesh, but he was still a child. Was he not?
Yeah.
And so she had a responsibility of raising this child. All right? And so she was still a mother to him. And so she still has this emotion towards him as one of her youngins, right? And so, you know, she finds him, and you've got to start associating, you know, the feelings that you would have had towards the same thing, because she's still a mother, and she would have finally found him. I mean, because they're frantically looking for this guy for 3 days. Now, the scripture says, you know, they searched for him for 3 days. It's easy to kind of overlook that. But if you're looking for your child for 3 days, because they've been lost for 3 days, how are you feeling on that third day? You're exhausted. You are frantic. You feel as though, you know, the world has just collapsed around you. I mean, you know, if these guys, if they weren't feeling anything at this time, you know, the scripture would have said they had been looking for him for 3 days. So, I mean, they're looking for him. I mean, now, when you are looking for somebody who's lost, how fervently are you looking for them?
Every day, all day.
Oh, yeah, you searching everything. You're going to be kicking in doors. Blue! Hey, Jesus, come out of here! You know, you're looking for him everywhere. You're going to be tearing up every bush. You're going to be looking up under every rock. You're going to look everywhere for this guy, right?
You wouldn't sleep.
You would be sleeping. Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, that's kind of what we're seeing here. All right. So, what we're seeing here is we're seeing this extreme fervent search for their child Jesus. Now, the scripture says that they didn't know he wasn't with the group. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible that they didn't know that he wasn't there?
So many people traveling together, and the kids probably sort of grouped up together, just like our kids would.
Yeah. Pretty much that's exactly what happened. See, this was a trip that when they had gone to the feast. So what happens is that this would have been like it would have been a mass traveling from certain areas. And so, like, let's say that we were here in Belhaven, right? And what's the Franklin Graham thing that he's doing?
Decision America.
Right, Decision America. So it'd be similar to us. We would advertise to the town of Belhaven. Say, hey, West Belhaven is getting ready to go over to Raleigh. And if you're interested in wanting to go with us as a group, then you meet up with us at such and such time, and we will go together as a group, because, you know, you're safer in numbers and all that kind of stuff. So that's similar to what they would have done. They would have had a long journey, so they would have tried to group up with as many people as they could have. Plus, Jesus had brothers and sisters. You know? Now, we don't know exactly how old they were, so we don't know if they were immediately after Jesus was born, or, you know, we don't know exactly how old his brothers and sisters were, but we know he had siblings. And so, you know, he more likely had younger siblings, and so they probably their attention was towards the younger kids, when the older ones were able to already walk themselves and take care of themselves. So they were in a big group. So that's why typically it's probably that they just didn't right away catch that he wasn't there with the group. But when they realized he wasn't, then all of a sudden frantic breaks out. Right? And then when they finally find him, okay, so they're frantically searching for him. So they are fervently trying to find this guy, right? Looking 3 days for Jesus. It's their child lost. They are desperate to find him. So then he responds, why are you searching for him? Why would he respond like that?
He wasn't lost.
Yeah, to him, he were lost, right? Because it's very similar to if you find a child that's lost. Now, if at first, if they didn't know they were lost, and you come running up to them, and you're freaking out, and you're hugging them, and all this kind of stuff, and they're looking at you weird like you have 500 heads, it's because they didn't know they were lost. They didn't see themselves as being lost. They were just having a good old time. Anybody ever lost a kid anywhere?
Oh yeah, we lost, I have to tell this. 15 years ago, our whole family went on a cruise, and we were all sitting out on the pool area, very busy, people everywhere. My sister's middle daughter went missing, and all we could think was if she'd fallen over.
Oh, yeah.
It was about maybe a 20-minute deal of just everybody. I mean, finally everybody realized what we were doing, and it was like, we couldn't get her back quick enough. And that was a bad feeling.
Well, and see, that's another thing, because I forgot about that part. Because, you freak out, but then all of a sudden, the worst ideas ever start coming through your head.
Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I mean, when Madison was lost, I was running down to the toy section, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, did somebody snatch her? Did somebody kidnap her, take her? Because, you're hearing that in the news all lot. You have all these fears and thoughts that go through your head. And so Mary wouldn't have been any different. She would have had the same fears, the same ideas, same emotions that's going through her, because she's trying to find her kid, looking for him desperately. But Jesus, he was like, I'm not lost. I'm right where I need to be. In fact, how did he respond? Right after the question, how did he respond?
Did you know that I'd be about my father?
Exactly. He's like, hold up now, Mom. Come on. Don't you know where I'm supposed to be at? Now, is that an unusual question?
For anybody else that we knew?
Now, maybe for anybody else, sure. But what about in this situation, this scenario?
What age were they not considered a child anymore?
12, 13.
But Mary knew he was the Son of God.
And that was the kicker, okay? Because, yes, this was her child, but she also knew who he was.
And she was responsible for the Son of God.
That's right.
Can you imagine the pressure? I mean, think about the stress we have over our kids and if we're doing the right thing. I couldn't imagine being her.
I know, right? Can you imagine being the mother of the Son of God?
That's why she was freaking
I mean, good land. I mean, think about the responsibility you would think was on your shoulders, right? Because all right, so the Son of God, so all right, so I got to raise this kid right? So you're going to have him trying to obey and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, Andrew's right. That's a lot of pressure. It was probably on her shoulders. And then also, so then she'd also be kind of maybe thinking in the back of her head, okay, what's God going to do with me? I just lost the Son of God. I mean, that's got to be in the back of your head. You know it. I mean, come on. And so we see. All right. So we see the response that he gave. Let's see what. He says, "Why are you searching for me? Didn't you know that I had to be in my Father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying. Why is it that they didn't understand what he was saying?
Because to them he was still a child.
Okay, because to them he was, he's still their child, right? And maybe at this time, maybe they were still kind of frantic. Maybe they were happy they finally found him. So they were kind of relieved. But maybe they were stressing out and they still had stress, or they now all of a sudden the anger was starting to kick in a little bit. Like, man, what the world? We've been searching for you for 3 days, right? And so, so there were probably a lot of emotions going through them right now, a lot of things going through their head. Now, here's a question: on their way home, how closely do you think they watched him? Very much so, right? I know that when we found Madison, oh my goodness, it was, you're going to be right here on my right hip, and you ain't leaving, right? I mean, you're going to grab her by the collar of the shirt and drag her all the way to the car if you have to, but she ain't leaving your side ever again. Well, I can imagine kind of similar to what Mary would have been like here, when he finally found Jesus. All right, Jesus, you're going to hold my hand, and we're going to walk all the way back to wherever we got to go. We could be talking a couple of day trip, but you're going to be holding my hand the whole way. I mean, and so, she had all these feelings and emotions probably going through her. And, so at this time, his response to her, she could have been like, well, okay, yeah, you probably know what you're supposed to do, but you're still my kid.